It's Gojira!
In 1962, Toho Studios decided to wake Godzilla from 7 years in hibernation to face off with a famous furry foe. The result was King Kong versus Godzilla.
But nothing, nobody can stop the great showdown when King Kong and Godzilla meet to fight for survival of the fittest.
King Kong versus Godzilla was a movie which I guess in some ways was a landmark. We had the first time anyone had seen King Kong in anything new since 1933. You could say it was a way of, sort of cementing relationships between us and Japan after World War II.
Godzilla has a brain about this size. He is sheer brute force, while Kong is a thinking animal. His brain is considerably larger, about 10 times the size of this gorilla's skull. Being instinctive rivals, there is no doubt that they will attempt to destroy one another.
Not a particularly good movie, and King Kong looked pretty bad. But that was their biggest grosser, and they realized the pit Godzilla against some really powerful-looking or well-known monster, and you got a hit. King Kong was especially well-known in the United States, so then everybody went to see it. Terrible gorilla. Ooh, man.
King Kong vs. Godzilla also marked the first time that the character of Godzilla was given distinctly comic touches.
A.G. Subraya, the special effects director, really had a soft heart for children, and I think in his mind Godzilla appealed, to children in a great way, and he wanted to soften the character a little bit so that it would be more child-friendly.
The movie's success put fresh fire in the Godzilla franchise. Toho finally realized they had a giant celebrity on their hands, and they moved fast to find other worthy monsters to battle the big green guy. Toho tried to keep audiences in suspense by advertising his next challenger as the mysterious Thing.
What is the Thing? Ooh, was anybody really fooled by that? I think most people probably knew that Godzilla was going to fight Mothra because the trailer gave it away, and if you'd seen the trailer, you would have known. But, more than anything, I think people were going to see Godzilla films at that time. If you were interested in this kind of thing, you would have gone to see it if Godzilla fought, Paul Bunyan.
It looks innocent as a gigantic egg, but its unseen powers are so great that its worshippers beg the Thing's indulgence in self-abasing ceremonies.
By the summer of 1964, the U.S.-Soviet space race was in high gear, and as thoughts of faraway galaxies filled the news, Toho Studios pushed another monster epic into production. This time, they showcased an electrifying new creature from outer space known as King Ghidorah.
Nothing the screen has ever shown before can surpass the thrills of Ghidorah.
Ghidorah, the three-headed monster, also featured Godzilla, Rodan, and Mothra, who overlooked their petty differences of the past to battle the three-headed Golden Goliath for control of the Earth.
By the mid-60s, the Godzilla films were becoming more and more outlandish, and Ghidorah is probably one of the most outlandish creations of all.
A new high in screen terror.
It took something like 12 people to operate this costume, including the guy inside the suit, people to move its heads. There were 3 heads, 2 tails, 2 wings. The wings were gigantic, and if you watch it in a widescreen presentation, the monster sometimes fills almost the entire frame. It's a fantastic creature.
As Godzilla confronted menacing adversaries from other planets, he began to undergo a gradual image makeover, from destroyer of cities into a Japanese folk hero.
I think that Godzilla's changes through the year reflected 2 things: the social climate of the world, and the political climate even, and the market for these films. The market changed to a younger market in Japan.
Toho Studios, in an effort, I think, to win a wider audience, made Godzilla nicer and friendlier, sort of like a stray dog that, the kid down the street can take in. And Godzilla was all of a sudden the guardian of mankind.
Can Godzilla save the Earth from this mastodon of destruction?
International audiences were also amused by the over-the-top characters and less-than-perfect dubbing that became a trademark of the series.
I would say nobody has anything to fear from us. But we are going to control you now.
We did, about 8 or 9 different characters, knowing where to breathe and to get the lip sync in. And you look at the loop, and you see how the lips move. We do that all day long. And then at the very end, they've saved the panic horde sounds that they can just put in wherever, you know, the hordes are running or screaming or absolutely horrified by the attack of this unknown monster. And so you give it your all. It's...
1967's Son of Godzilla turned Godzilla into a proud father. It was more proof that Toho Studios was targeting their series to a very young crowd.
One thing we've always wondered is what happened to Mrs. Godzilla. This egg hatches, a little Godzilla tadpole comes out. The film, you know, follows him through the early stages of his childhood. It's almost like he's going through puberty. He has to teach him how to breathe fire, and of course he can't do it. So, you know, the little child can do no better than just breathe smoke rings, and so Godzilla finally steps on his tail, and a stream of flame finally comes out.
He kind of became campy. That was the decade of campy shows, you know, you had the funny Batman and whatnot, but Godzilla also went that route with him doing Kung Fu.
By now, Toho wasn't the only Japanese movie studio to use giant monsters to grab younger audiences.
In the late 60s, Godzilla had a major competitor at the box office in the name of Gamera, the Flying Turtle, which was produced by a rival studio called Dai. And those films almost always featured children in the lead roles, and they were very unabashedly made for children.
By 1968, the Big G faced another danger besides box office competition. After 8 Godzilla films, producer Tomoyuki Tanaka was running out of fresh ideas. Partly out of desperation, he made his next film, Destroy All Monsters, an all-out extravaganza that featured no fewer than 11 creature co-stars.
The filmmakers at Toho Studios just threw everything in but the kitchen sink when it came to uniting the creatures. You had the monsters rampaging in Tokyo, Rome, Paris, New York. It was very entertaining seeing these monsters on American soil and also getting together for the ultimate monster rumble.
It's insane. I think that's the time when the makers of Godzilla were dropping LSD. That movie is nuts. These people from outer space are so nuts, and they control the monsters. That was a plot several times, but it's insane.
We do not come from your world. We are here to make you our slaves.
From the laboratories and arsenals of all civilized nations, the most powerful, the newest, the most devastating of weapons blast into action in their effort to destroy all monsters.
When Animal Icons returns, Godzilla gets all choked up over a smog monster.